Hi everybody, welcome back to Top Words. My name is Alicia, and in this video we're going to talk about 10 essential adverbs of frequency and time. Let's get started. Okay, but before we start, a quick reminder, there are free PDFs that feature vocabulary words and phrases that you can download for free from the link in the description. This one I think is probably the most useful one that you can download to practice with, because these are useful verbs that you can use along with these adverbs of frequency and time that I'm going to talk about in this video. So make sure you check this one out. Okay, let's get to the lesson. Okay, the first word is early. Early. So early is the opposite of late. Early is used to talk about our activities a lot. When we do something before the scheduled time or before an appointment or whatever, we describe that as early. For example, I enjoy getting home from work early. Okay, next word. All right, the next word is rarely, rarely. So rarely is kind of a tricky word for some people to say. Rarely, another way to say rarely is not often or not very often. Rarely refers to an action that you don't do regularly. So if you imagine this on like a scale from 0 to 100%, something that you do rarely is very, very close to 0% of the time, very close to never. So like 10% of the time or 15% of the time. So something that doesn't happen often or something that you don't do very often. You can describe that kind of action or activity with the word rarely. For example, it rains often in April, but rarely in August. The next word is already, already. So we use already when we want to talk about an expected action that has finished. So this means an action that we had planned or something that we knew or we expected someone else was going to do. And we want to express that that action has finished. We use already to do that. Like I have already explained the word rarely. So something that is done that we expected to be done has been done. We express that with already. For example, I'm already going to school. Okay, let's check out the next one. The next word is always. Always. Always is a super useful word. So again, if you imagine a scale from 0 to 100%, where 0 is never, and at the top is 100%, you can imagine 100% as always, something that you do 100% of the time or extremely often. You want to communicate that feeling. It can be something that you do every day or every week, every month, every year. For example, you always say that. All right, let's go on to the next one. The next word is never, never. So never is the opposite of always. As we just talked about with the previous word, if we imagine 100% of the time is expressed with the word always, we can imagine at the other end of the scale, 0% of the time is expressed with never. So something that you do 0% of the time, or something that refers to your life experience. You have 0% life experience or zero life experience doing something. So you use never to express this. For example, I've never heard this song. Okay, the next word is now. Now. So now refers to the present time. So we're not talking about frequency with this. We're referring to a point in time. In this case, the present moment. So right now, I'm talking to you. Now you're listening to me, and so on. Another example, I ate too much and now my stomach hurts. Okay, on to the next one. Often. Often. So often refers to something that you do regularly. So it doesn't mean it's something that you do every day necessarily or even every week, but a regular activity that you do with some kind of schedule generally. So you can use this in a question like how often do you blah blah blah, or you can talk about your own activities with like I often do blah blah blah. So this is very common with question patterns in addition to responses. For example, how often do you work out? Okay, the next word is usually, usually. So usually is like a step above often. So again, if we imagine these words on like a scale, often refers to something that you do regularly. It's a little higher on a scale than sometimes. Usually, it's a little higher on the scale than often. So usually refers to something that you do a little more regularly than often. So something that you do maybe every morning or most mornings, or something that you do most Mondays. So you can kind of think of usually as something that you do most of the time. Like, I usually wake up and then go back to sleep. That's true. Or I usually don't make steak for breakfast. Okay. In this example sentence, I don't usually eat breakfast. The next word is occasionally, occasionally. So occasionally, you can imagine as the same meaning really as sometimes. Sometimes and occasionally have the same meaning, yes, but occasionally sounds a little bit more formal. So I personally would not use occasionally in everyday conversation with my friends. I would probably use it in a conversation at work, maybe, where I needed to sound more polite, or in a more formal, maybe email, for example. In other cases, like with friends and family, when I'm talking in those situations, I would probably use sometimes. But occasionally expresses the same feeling. So you could say something like, I occasionally check the information on our company's website to make sure that everything is up to date. Or in this example sentence, I occasionally travel to Asia on business. All right, let's go to the next one. The next word is still, still. So still for this video refers to a condition or a status that remains the same. So if we want to express that something, some condition or status has not changed from a previous status, you can use still to express that. You'll also notice that some people use still to express like a time or a condition that hasn't changed, but that you feel has changed. For example, in this example sentence, we see it's still 5 o'clock. It's still 5 o'clock. You would hear this in a situation where maybe, for example, it's very, very dark suddenly. And you're like, oh gosh, it seems so late. You check your watch, oh, it's still 5 o'clock. So that expresses that even though it seems the condition or status has changed, in fact, the truth of the situation is that it remains this early time. So when you want to express that lack of change, you can also do that with still, especially when you're talking about time. Okay, let's go to the next word. The next word is sometimes, sometimes. So I talked about sometimes earlier in relation to the word occasionally. Sometimes and occasionally have that same feeling, but sometimes sounds more conversational, more casual. So we use sometimes a lot in conversation. If you want to imagine sometimes on our scale of never to always, sometimes is right in the middle at about 50%. So sometimes I like to watch TV until late at night. Or sometimes I forget to call my mom on her birthday. Not for long though. Or sometimes I choose the wrong thing to eat for lunch and then my stomach is unhappy. That's true. In this example sentence, sometimes I'm right. Okay, the next word is then. Then. So we use then to show progression of activities or like progression of status. So you might hear somebody telling a story and saying then or and then, and then. So that shows the next action in a series or the next action in a story. So you can do this actually a lot in your everyday life when you talk about your day. Like, I woke up and then I ate breakfast and then I took a shower and then I went to work and then I went to school. So then shows that progression. In this example sentence, then I want to go to the beach. All right, so that is everything. Those were 10 essential frequency and time adverbs. I hope that was helpful for you. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making an example sentence with these words, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Also, don't forget to click the link in the description to get the free PDF cheat sheet I talked about earlier and much more. You can check it out and learn some more useful English words and phrases. You can download them, you can keep them on your phone, you can put them on your computer, print them out, whatever you want to do to study. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a like and a share and a subscribe if you have not already. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!